Hello my friends and welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about anticipated releases. This is a collection of books that I am excited to release in April, May, June, and July. So we're doing a 4-month span this time because I don't have quite as many as I usually do for like 1 to 2 months. So I decided to do 4 months at a time just because these are the ones that I am the most excited about. There are many other books coming out within these 4 months. Because I'm trying to slow down on how many new releases I'm buying this year because of how let down I felt in 2022 by the new releases, I'm trying to keep my anticipated releases really small. Not all of these I'll probably buy immediately, but some of them I know I will. So that's why this pool of options is just so much smaller, is because I'm really trying to narrow it down to the ones that I am the absolute most excited and interested in. So I think I have 13 or 14 books to talk about. I'm not quite sure how many. I wasn't really paying attention. I'm looking forward to these ones. I haven't decided if all of them are absolute must-buys, but there are a few in this grouping that I will 100% be buying, and I'll let you know which ones they are when we get to them, just because I do know some of them I am already for sure purchasing. So now that that's out of the way, I'm going to get into my anticipated releases for April, May, June, and July. So the first book up is House of Cotton by Monica Brashears. This is coming out April 4th, and I am almost 100% certain I will be buying this because one, the cover is absolutely stunning. I think it is so gorgeous and eye-catching and just really, really pretty. You know I'm a sucker for a really pretty cover, but the plot of this book has me very, very, very intrigued. This is about the main character Magnolia, who is 19 years old, and she is having a very rough time. She's very broke. She's working a dead-end job at a gas station, and she's also, I don't know if this is actually being haunted, but it says that she's being haunted by the ghost of her late grandmother. So that could go either two ways, that she's actually being physically haunted by a ghost, or it could be more of a metaphorical haunting. So I'm not really sure which way that is leaning. I'm hoping it means an actual haunting because I think that would be very interesting, but we'll see. Anyway, so the main character Magnolia is having a very hard life right now, and she gets approached by this stranger named Cotton. He offers her a modeling job, and as soon as I saw modeling, I was like, ooh, red flag, red flag, red flag. Of course, she accepts, and this modeling job turns out to be a little weird. The requests that he makes of Magnolia start to get more and more weird, and I don't know what that entails, but there's some things in my head that I'm, pondering it could be. So very crazy. I think that this could be very, very, very good. Like I said, as soon as I saw modeling job, I was very interested. I was very intrigued. I think it's a very cool premise, and I'm really hoping that the execution is as good as the premise is, because it sounds like it could be a very big standout. My next anticipated release is The Haunting of Alejandra. This is coming out April 18th, and it is by V. Castro. Now, I have read other books from this author before, and they have been very hit or miss, so I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna feel about this one, but I actually have a NetGalley arc of this book, so I won't be buying it. I will be reading it off of NetGalley, of course. So I am very interested because this is a La Llorona story, which I am immediately like, take my money, give it to me. I want more, because I grew up hearing about La Llorona, so I'm very familiar with the urban legend, and it's something that I think could be just amazing in book form. So I am very hopeful about this one, but based off of my experience with this author, I don't know how it'll actually turn out. But basically this is about the main character Alejandra, who is struggling with this darkness within her, right? And she starts seeing this therapist who kind of helps her look into her family line because she is adopted. So when she begins exploring her family's history, she learns that the women in her family and her have a lot in common, and La Llorona is very prominent in her family history. So it sounds very exciting. It sounds very interesting. I'm hopeful. I'm very excited. I will obviously be reading this because I have an arc of it, but I'm a little nervous, like I said, but I do think this could be really, really good. The next book is This Delicious Death by Kayla Cottingham. This is coming out April 25th, and this is a YA horror. I'm very excited about this one because Kayla Cottingham wrote My Dearest Darkest, which I really, really, really loved. And this one is actually a cannibalism story, which YA and cannibalism sounds very interesting. I want to know how intense it can get, how bloody, how gory, how, you know, what kind of story this is going to be since it is YA. But I do think it sounds like it could be very interesting. So basically the plot of this one, it says, is 3 years ago, the melting of Arctic permafrost released a pathogen of unknown origin into the atmosphere, causing a small percentage of people to undergo a transformation that became known as the hollowing. So these people that were impacted, they become intolerant to food. So they have to eat human flesh. So these scientists make this synthetic food that is like human flesh, but they don't actually have to eat human flesh. It seems to have caused a rift between normal people and the people that were affected by the hollowing, because I think they're not sure that these people won't eat them or try to, you know, ingest regular human flesh. And then there are these 4 friends who are considered ghouls. I guess ghouls are the people that were affected by the hollowing and now, you know, living off this synthetic food. And they end up going on this kind of like trip to celebrate that they are going to be graduating. And then one of them turns around and eats somebody. I think things just get kind of out of hand after that. I'm very interested in how a YA book is going to handle cannibalism. I think this could be really amazing, but it also could be not what we all want. So I'm very, very hesitant, but also very excited. I probably will be picking this one up because I did really enjoy My Dearest Darkest. So I think I will end up liking this one as well. Next up is Graveyard of Lost Children by Katrina Monroe. This is coming out May 9th. So this book is about the main character, Olivia, and when she was 4 months old, her mother tried to kill her because her mother suspected that she was a changeling and that she needed to switch Olivia with her real baby. And now Olivia is about to give birth to her own daughter, and she is not as happy as people think she should be because she is filled with dread that this baby is not actually her baby. So it sounds like Olivia is going to go through the same thing that her mother went through. I'm very interested to see if this is going to be more like psychological or if this is going to have kind of a spin on it and these babies actually are changelings and maybe the family has like some kind of, I don't know, curse or something where all their babies just get like switched with changelings. I don't know. I'm very interested to see what kind of story this is going to turn out to be, if it's going to be more on the psychological side or if it is going to have a supernatural twist to it. I don't know for sure if I'm going to end up picking this one up as soon as it comes out, but I am interested in it, so I might wait for reviews. It'll really just depend how I'm feeling once the book actually comes out. Next up is All the Dead Lie Down by Kyrie McCauley. This is coming out May 16th. I believe this is also YA, and I'll be honest, the cover really got me for this one because I think it is absolutely beautiful. The comparison of this book is The Haunting of Bly Manor meets House of Salt and Sorrows. So this is a contemporary YA gothic romance about a dark family lineage, ghosts of grief, and the lines will cross for love. So very interested in the fact that it's a gothic romance and that it sounds like there's gonna be a supernatural, you know, touch to this story. So basically the plot of this one is the main character, Marin. She receives an invitation from this woman named Alice, who is an acclaimed horror writer and a childhood friend of Marin's mother. Alice ends up offering Marin a nannying position at Loveless House, which is the family's coastal Maine estate. Marin, of course, accepts, but then she finds that Alice's kids are a little odd. One of the daughters buries her dolls, one hosts a series of funerals, and one does everything to drive Marin away. And then the oldest daughter returns home unexpectedly, and of course she is just as strange as her sisters. But I guess Marin is kind of intrigued by the eldest daughter. She's just interested in her being and who she is, and I don't know what kind of story this is gonna be. It sounds like it's gonna be sapphic. It also says something dangerous lurks in the woods, leaving mutilated animals in its wake. So again, I think there's gonna be a lot of kind of parts to this story. There's gonna be a romance, there's gonna be peculiar children, weird children, odd children, and then something lurking in the woods. So I think this could be really good. I don't know if I will jump at the chance to buy it immediately when it comes out, but I am intrigued by it. Next is Maeve Fly by CJ Lead. This is coming out June 6th, and I also have a NetGalley arc of this one. I think the cover is very, very, very eye-catching, but very odd. That eyeball really kind of got me when I first saw the cover, and then there's lots of teeth. So, I mean, the cover is very in your face. I don't really know too much about this one. I think I read the synopsis very briefly when I asked for an arc off of NetGalley, but it does sound odd. So this is about the main character, Maeve Fly. She works at the happiest place in the world. I think we all know what that is insinuating. As every child's favorite ice princess. Again, very interesting. I think we all kind of have a vision of what that could be. And I guess by night it says she haunts the dive bars with a drink in one hand and a book in the other. And then apparently this guy, Gideon, her best friend's brother, is going to move to town and her world is going to be flipped upside down on its head. So then Maeve is gonna put on a new persona of hers, a bolder, bloodier one inspired by the pages of American Psycho. And then the last line of the synopsis is, "Step aside, Patrick Bateman, it's Maeve's turn with the knife." So this is gonna be very interesting, I think. I obviously think a lot of fans of American Psycho will be very interested in this. I have never read American Psycho, but I have seen the movie. I'm not like a big fan of the movie. I think it's fine. It's not one of like my absolute favorites, but I do think the book sounds very interesting. I'm glad I have an arc of it. I think this one could be really, really good if it's done right. Next up is The Only One Left by Riley Sager, coming out June 20th. Now, I hesitated to put this book in this video. I have very mixed thoughts on Riley Sager. I tend to enjoy his books. I feel like a lot of his books get heavily critiqued. I'm not a very critical reader. I read for enjoyment and entertainment, and so I think a lot of his books don't irritate me as much because I just know what I'm getting into when I read a Riley Sager book. I will say I have disliked two of his. I did not love Home Before Dark, and I don't remember the summer camp one. Sorry, I know. I should probably remember the title. I didn't like that one either. But I'm very hesitant about this one, especially because it says he's returning with a gothic chiller about a young caregiver assigned to work for a woman accused of a Lizzie Borden-like massacre decades earlier. Now, I know everyone was really excited to hear him coming back with a gothic book because everyone really loved Home Before Dark. Home Before Dark is one of my least favorite Riley Sager books, so I'm very hesitant about this one. I don't know if I will purchase this immediately. Like I said, I didn't even know if I was going to put this in the video. This one is a very, very hesitant book. I do want to try it, but because I didn't love Home Before Dark as much as the average person, I think that this one might, I don't know, it might get pushed to the back burner and I might try out more of other new releases in place of this one just because I'm not sure how much I actually want to read this one right now. Next, Where Echoes Die by Courtney Gould. This is coming out June 20th as well. This is a YA horror. I believe Courtney Gould actually came out with another book that I was very interested in and I never actually picked up. I think the cover of this one is absolutely beautiful, and if I remember correctly, the previous book I was interested by this author, I also really, really liked the cover. YA horror and thrillers do a really good job of grabbing my attention with covers, but sometimes the plots aren't as good. So the main character of this story is Beck, and the death of her mother is very hard on her. She has herself kind of thinking of past memories and trying to kind of, I think, stay in the past because of how happier she was then. But then she gets a mysterious letter in her mother's handwriting, and the letter is telling her to look at this town called Back Ravel, Arizona. However, when Beck and her sister arrive in this town, there is something very, very wrong. There are no cars, no cemeteries, no churches. The town is a mix of dilapidated military structures and new shiny buildings, all overseen by the town's gleaming treatment center high on a plateau. And no one remembers how they got there. The two sisters are going to search for answers, and Beck ends up getting a little bit close to the character Avery, who is the leader of this town's daughter. I guess they're gonna uncover some mysteries, probably some secrets that people are hiding about this town. It's gonna be sapphic. I think this could be very interesting. The plot sounds cool. Again, don't know how quick I'll jump to buy this one, but I am interested. Next up is 19 Claws and a Blackbird, stories by Augustina Bazterrica. This is coming out June 20th, and I will absolutely be buying this as soon as it releases. This is the same author who wrote Tender is the Flesh. I absolutely love that book so much. So when I saw the author was going to come out with a short story collection, I was very, very, very intrigued. You know I'm a sucker for a short story collection, and already knowing that I enjoy the author's writing and work from Tender is the Flesh, I have a good feeling that I could absolutely love this short story collection. I am very excited about this one. I have been hoping that this author would come out with something after Tender is the Flesh. I was hoping because I just really, really loved that story. I thought it was so clever, so well done. I just absolutely loved it. I know a lot of people do love it. I know a lot of people don't love it, but I will have to buy this short story collection because I just have to read more from this author. The next book is The Woods Are Waiting by Catherine Green. This is coming out July 11th, and this is another book that I have a NetGalley arc of. So this story is about the characters Cheyenne and Natalie, who are childhood friends. Cheyenne grew up in Blue Cliff, Virginia. She actually grew up deep in the woods with her mother, who raised her on the usual customs and generational superstitions linked to the local legend of an evil entity that haunts the forest. 5 years ago, the bodies of 3 children were actually found in the woods, but it was this man named Jasper Clinton who was convicted of the crimes. And so for 5 years, this town, you know, was relieved. The person responsible was caught. However, now 5 years later, another child goes missing. So this could be very interesting because it sounds like it could have a supernatural aspect to it. It could obviously be that Jasper, the man that was convicted, was not the actual criminal and someone else was doing it. And now that the 5 years have passed and they feel like they're in the clear again, they can start again. So this could have two kind of directions. I'm not really sure. I would love to see it go in a supernatural direction just because I really love supernatural, you know, horror and thrillers. So I'm not quite sure what kind of story this could be, but I think it has potential to be very good, and I am very excited that I have an arc of this one. Would it be an Erin anticipated releases video if I didn't include a Darcy Coates? No, it would not. Of course, Dead of Winter, coming out July 11th, is one that I will 100% be purchasing. Is that shocking? Probably not. I'm a diehard Darcy fan. I want to own every book that she comes out with. I love her writing, I love her work, and this is going to be a wintry, isolated thriller. I believe this is going to be more on the thriller side than it is going to be on the horror side, which I think is very, very interesting. I love an isolated wintry setting, so it already has the makings to be a very good book. So this book is about the main character, Krista, who is in a tour group heading deep into the snowy expanse of the Rocky Mountains. But then a snowstorm kind of interrupts their plans, and the group has to take shelter in an abandoned hunting cabin. They think that they will be able to wait out the storm, but deep in the night, their tour guide goes missing, only to be discovered the following morning, his severed head impaled on a tree outside the cabin. So now Krista is isolated and alone, stuck with 8 strangers, and one of them is a killer. I think that sounds amazing. I'm very excited to see Darcy take on a wintry, isolated setting like this. It sounds like it could be right up my alley. Winter horror and thrillers are my favorite. They are my preferred type of story. I love an isolated setting with a wintry background, so I'm very hopeful this could be an easy 5 stars, especially knowing that it's a Darcy. So yes, I will be purchasing this the minute that it comes out. Next is Silver Nitrate by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is coming out July 18th, and I knew I was going to have to pick this up because I loved Mexican Gothic so much. I haven't actually read anything else from Silvia Moreno Garcia. I don't really know why. I think it's just because none of them have really grabbed my attention like Mexican Gothic did, but I think this one sounds very intriguing. So I don't know too much about this one, and I'm trying not to know too much about it. This is one that I kind of want to go in a little bit blind, but I do know that this is about Mexican horror movies and Nazi occultism, and it says that it's about a curse that haunts a legendary lost film and awakens one woman's hidden powers. I really love the horror movie aspect. I love when books kind of intertwine horror movies inside of it. I like curses. Obviously, cursed films are very interesting, and I've seen them done quite a bit in horror movies. I haven't seen it done too terribly often. I've seen a little bit in horror books, but I think this could be really, really interesting, and I really enjoy Silvia Moreno Garcia's writing, so I think this one will have to be an immediate purchase. Second to last is Her Little Flowers by Shannon Morgan. This is coming out July 25th. I don't know too much about this one either. This is a fairly newer one to me, but I believe it's a kind of gothic horror, and as much as they are hit or miss for me, I am always intrigued when I see a new gothic horror book coming out, so I don't know if I will buy this one immediately, but I have my eyes peeled and my eyes watching for reviews coming in about this one. So this is about the main character Francine, who has lived all her 55 years in her family's ancestral home. No one else lives there. She is all alone, but there are ghosts that also live in the family home. The most beloved one is Bree. She's a mischievous little ghost girl who is Francine's companion, and she's been Francine's companion since she was a child. So then Francine's estranged sister, Madeline, returns home to the manor after years, and she comes bearing news that is going to kind of flip everything that Francine ever knew on its head. And I don't know what that means, but I guess it's about the family's past, and it's gonna be not so great information. I think it's gonna kind of change how Francine looks at everything, and it's gonna be kind of dark and disturbing. I'm not sure, but I think it sounds very interesting. I love ghost stories. I like family secrets. I like that kind of stuff. So I think this has the potential to be really good. I'm just not sure if I will buy it right as it comes out. And last is Everyone Here Is Lying by Sherry Lapina. This is coming out July 25th. And I've only read one book from Sherry Lapina, and that was An Unwanted Guest, which is a snowy, isolated thriller, but I really enjoyed that one. And I have been eyeing other books by Sherry Lapina, and I just haven't picked one up. I do know that this author is a very hit or miss. I know some people find their thrillers to be very predictable and kind of average, and this is a domestic thriller, which domestic thrillers are very hit or miss for me. I find them to be extremely predictable, but I do have to say that this one has me a little intrigued. This is kind of it's very trope heavy, I will say. When I read the plot, I was like, this sounds very average, and I know that, but there's something about it. I don't know. This is about a very safe neighborhood that is very picturesque and perfect for families. And you know, it's like the ideal neighborhood. And we have this character, William, who is a family man, or so everyone thinks, but he's been having an affair, which of course he has, because that's always what happens in domestic thrillers. But the affair ended horribly this afternoon at the motel, and he returns to his house devastated and very angry, and he finds his 9-year-old daughter unexpectedly home from school, and he loses his temper. Hours later, the family reports Avery as missing, and suddenly this neighborhood doesn't seem so safe, and apparently William is not the only person that has a little secret. And then it just says, as witnesses come forward with information that may or may not be true, Avery's neighbors become increasingly unhinged. So it doesn't sound like anything groundbreaking or new or, you know, crazy different, but it does sound like it could be fun. I think if it's done the right way, it could be very, I don't know, it could be very successful at what it's trying to do. I'm unsure how fast I will try to snap this one up. I might end up waiting a bit because, you know, it is a thriller. I'm trying to cut back on my thrillers because they've just been very disappointing recently. So not quite sure how I feel about this one, but there is something about that plot that is kind of grabbing me. So I have a few months to, you know, keep it up here, think about it, sleep on it. You know, I won't be buying it anytime soon, so we'll see, but it does have me a little interested. All right, my friends, that is it for my anticipated releases for the next 4 months. Like I said, the list is pretty short. I don't know how many I will be buying immediately. There are very few of them that I think I will, you know, get to quickly, but they are ones that are going to be floating in the back of my head when I'm making purchases and, you know, thinking about making purchases, those will probably be the books at the forefront of my mind. So, you know, I don't know, but I would love to hear your thoughts. Let me know if any of these books are also on your radar. If you have any thoughts, good or bad, about any of these, I'd love to hear them. You know, if you've read any of these, if you've had any arcs of them, let me know if you think I would enjoy it. I always value your opinion and your thoughts. You all know my reading taste very well, so I feel like your input is very much appreciated. So go ahead and leave your thoughts down below if you think any of these sound like winners. If I missed any that are on your radar or are on your anticipated release list for the next 4 months, go ahead and drop them down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more anticipated release lists from me in the future, give me a thumbs up. That way I know that you are excited to see these videos from me and I can keep filming them for you in the future. If you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to my channel. We can become friends, talk about books, horrifying books, thrilling books, romance books, manga, all that good fun stuff. And with that being said, I hope you are having a great day, night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!